Hey everybody, it's Shelly from Shelly Reads Stuff, and today I want to talk to you about my TBR list for the Reading Rush Read-A-Thon, which is taking place July 20th through 26th, and I will put the link in the descriptions to their video where the Reading Rush talks about the different challenges and what they're reading for their challenge and things like that. But this is my TBR for that. All right, so the first challenge for the Reading Rush book read-a-thon is to read a book that is the same color as your birthstone. So I am March, and that means that I'm aquamarine, and I have a whole bunch of like light blue books, but I picked this one. And I tend to take my covers off of my books because I think they look prettier, and they look prettier on my shelves when they don't have the covers on. So this one is by Jennifer Weiner, and it is The Next Best Thing, and I've had this on my shelf for a long time. And Jennifer Weiner is one of my favorite authors. I love her strong female characters, and I love her way that she storytells. So I'm really excited to read this book because, first of all, it's pretty and it's blue, and I've had it for a long time. And then also because it could be for the challenge number 2 one with a book that starts with the word the. So that could double if I don't have time to read all 7 books. But I did pick a book out for the second challenge as well. Okay, so the second challenge is to read a book that starts with the word the. And I found that I have a lot of books on my shelf that start with the word the. I know that some other people were struggling to find that, but I had several. Like I said, I could read the Jennifer Weiner book that I picked out for my first challenge, but I also picked out this one, The Woman in the Mirror, and I just got this one, so that's why the cover is still on it. But The Woman in the Mirror, and I am in a book group that I moderate that has a different challenge every month. And this month is Judge a Book on its cover. So this is why I picked this one up. So I know nothing about this other than what is on the cover. And it says on this quote up here, which is what made me pick it up, it says, "A deliciously atmospheric read that causes the hair on the back of the neck to stand up. Read it with the lights on." And I thought, that's a book for me because I love thrillers. And this just looks like has like kind of a Rebecca kind of feel to it, and maybe a little bit of gothic, so I'm into both of those things, so that's why I picked this one up. So that's going to be my The Challenge book. The third challenge is read a book that you've seen the movie but you haven't read the book. So it's kind of backwards from what we usually do. A lot of us that are readers, we usually read the book and then see the movie. So I don't actually have a physical copy of this. It's on my Kindle, but my daughter and I, she's 10, we just blew through the Babysitter's Club series on Netflix recently. And while I read the Babysitter's Club books when I was like 8 or 9, I have not revisited them since then. So I downloaded Christie's Big Idea, which is the first Babysitter's Club book, on my Kindle, and that's what I'm going to read for the book that I've seen the movie/show, but haven't read the book. All right, the fourth challenge is the first book you touch. So I know a lot of people are interpreting this a different way, either like a genre that they wanted to read and they closed their eyes and pointed, or like a list of TBR and they closed their eyes and pointed at it. But what I did is when I was looking to pull this book off of my shelf, this book was on top of it, and so I had to move it to get The Woman in the Mirror. So this is my first book I touched, Everything, and I've had this book also for a long time on my shelf, and it's something that I've wanted to read for a very long time. I don't also read a lot of YA books, so I'm excited to read this one as well. I've heard a lot of good things about it, and the cover is really pretty, and I'm very interested in the premise of this book, that about the girl who is allergic to everything, and if she's going to go outside or what decisions she's going to make based on her health and on relationships that she's forming and building. So that is my book 4 for the first book I touched. So the next challenge is read an entire book outside of your house. So I know that this one, there was a lot of people with problems, like I have to wear a mask everywhere, or like where I am, it's 112 degrees outside in southern Arizona, and I can't go to Starbucks because they're closed. I can't go to the library because they're closed. So how am I going to read a book out completely outside of my house? Well, I'm still going to work, so I drive to and from my job, and so I can listen. I've been listening to audiobooks in the car as I go back and forth. So that's what I decided to do for this. So I'm going to read audiobooks. I'm going to, on my way to and from work, I also do a lot of work by myself, so I can listen to audiobooks at work. I also do a lot of walking in the morning, and so I can listen to an audiobook for that. Now, I have not decided which audiobook I'm going to read. It's either going to be Hiroshima Diary, or it's going to be Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight. So it's going to be one of those two, which I have in my downloads from the library. So whichever one kind of strikes my fancy that week, that's the one I'm going to read for the book outside of my house. All right, the sixth challenge is a genre that you want to read more of. And mine is memoir. So I could either use the books that I picked for the previous challenge, the audiobooks, because those are both memoirs, or I've had this one, It's Everyone Hanging Out Without Me, on my shelf for also a long time. This is a really cool thing because I'm trying to do all these books that I already have, that I'm not going to go out and buy them or get them from the library or anything like that. I just went through my shelves to find, what do I have on my shelf that matches this category? So this is a memoir, and also humor, another thing that I would love to read more of that I haven't read. And also I've had this for a very long time on my shelf. So this is the one that I'm going to read for the genre category. All right, so for the final challenge is to read a book that takes place on a continent that is not your own. And since I live in Arizona, that would be North America for me. So I could either use either one of the audiobooks that I've selected. So either the Hiroshima Diary, which is Japan, or Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight, which takes place in Rwanda, I believe, in East Africa. So that would be those. Or another book that I've had on my shelf for a long time, also in Africa, is My Sister the Serial Killer. So this one, I'm again intrigued by the concept of the doctor who cleans up after her Black Widow sister kills off her boyfriend. So a little bit dark maybe, but I find some humor in that. And this one is not a very long book either, and it's got a lot of space on the edges of the pages and really short chapters, so that is helpful for reading things quickly. So this is my 7th book, and for a different continent. So those are the 7 books that I'm planning to read during the Reading Rush Read-A-Thon. While I might not get to all 7, I have some books that I can overlap. So I'm super excited to try out my first BookTube reading challenge, and I can't wait to let you guys know how it goes and what books I do end up reading and how I liked them. So I will check back in with you during the Read-A-Thon.